If you're looking for improved performance for your 2011 or newer 4.0 liter 4Runner, this Vaillant closed box cold air intake with the MaxFlow 5 oiled filter will be a great mod to achieve it with. Now this will be great for the 4Runner owner who is looking for an intake system to take filtration and airflow to the next level with a high quality cold air intake. Now not only will this improve performance, but this will also be great if you want a system that you can clean and maintenance over time to cut down on the hassle of replacing your factory element while also maintaining a solid protection to your filter, especially if you're taking your 4Runner off-road. This will feature a closed box or air box design very similar to the factory that will again provide ample protection to the filter from water or larger debris while maintaining an insulated environment to keep all of that hot engine bay air out. And the micro contaminants that get into the air box will be met with Vaillant's Max 5 oiled filter that will be very sticky to catch anything trying to flow in while maintaining a high flow design to get a ton of clean and cold air into the system for better performance. Now those components combined with the straight through style intake tube and the Venturi filter adapter that provides a smooth and streamlined transition into the intake tube will offer that increased performance for better efficiency and throttle response in the higher RPM ranges. Getting into the construction of this intake system, starting off with the filter, this will consist of 5 oiled layers of cotton gauze in between an aluminum screen to help keep its pleated structure. Now, the airbox and intake tube will be built of a tough heat-resistant plastic material with larger inlets for an increased amount of air for that increased performance. And I also do really like that this is going to come with a sight window for the top of the intake that's going to allow you to keep an eye on your filter to maintenance it over time, so you don't have to completely disassemble the entire intake in order to check when you need to clean your filter. And that is going to be made of a plastic material and have Vaillant's signature logo branded right on top. Now, this is also going to come with everything that you need for a bolt-on and no tune required install, like high quality silicone and heat resistant couplers, and you're also getting some quality stainless steel clamps. Now this will come in at around $450, putting this at a premium price point compared to others on the page. Now that is for good reason, considering the protection and the performance that you're getting out of this system compared to other options that may not provide the protection that you may be looking for, especially if your 4Runner is seeing the dirt more often than not. Now I think if you're looking for a well-engineered system to benefit your motor, not only on but also off-road and keep up that performance for the long run, then this is going to be a great choice. Install will be a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and will take you about an hour to get the job done with some basic hand tools. At this point, we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown of the install and what it looks like step by step. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, a clip remover tool, a number 1 and number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, an extension, and 8, 10, and 12 millimeter sockets. What's up, guys? Today we're installing an intake on our 4Runner, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is pop off our engine cover to get access to our clamps as well as some of our hoses. So to pop off our engine cover, we can just lift on the front, to pop it out of our grommets, and then pull forward. Next we can disconnect our crankcase vent hose, so we can pinch on the clamp and then pop that off. And then we'll also pop off this vent hose on our fuel pressure regulator. Next we can come back and pop off the clip that's holding in our wire harness. So we'll grab a clip remover tool and wiggle that out. Next we can take a 10 millimeter socket to loosen up our clamp as well as remove this bolt. Next we can come back to the clamp on our throttle body and do the same thing. Next we can wiggle our intake tube out of place. So next we can come back to our intake box. We're going to remove our connector, pop the clip holding our wiring harness to the top, and also the clip on the side. So we can push in on the tab and pull up to remove our connector. And then we'll grab a clip remover tool to pop that clip out of the way. And then we'll do that same thing for our other clip. And then we can release these 4 clips surrounding our intake box. And then we can remove our cover and pop our filter out of the way. Next, we can remove these 2 12mm bolts at the bottom of our intake box. So we'll grab a 12mm socket. Now on the outside of our box, right here, we have 1 more bolt, and we also have another clip right here. So we'll grab our clip remover tool to pop that clip out of the way. And we can take our 12mm socket to get our bolt out. Now this is going to be hard to see, but I'll show you where it goes as soon as we get our box out of the way. And with that removed, we can pop our box out of the way. And this hole right here is where that 3rd bolt came out of. Next, we can remove the bolt on the rear of our power steering reservoir bracket. So we'll grab that 12mm socket again to take that out. So our first step is to assemble our new intake tube. To do that, we're going to be transferring over our mass airflow sensor, as well as installing the line for the fuel pressure regulator. So now we can take a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 2 screws that are holding in our mass airflow sensor. And then we can wiggle our mass airflow sensor out of our intake box and slide that into our intake tube. We have 2 new screws to install our mass airflow sensor. Then we can press our sensor into place. And tighten down our 2 screws. And then we can add the tube to our small nub for a fuel pressure regulator. So now the last thing we need to do is remove this bracket, as it will interfere with our new intake. So we can take a 10mm socket, break that loose, and remove it. Next, we can come back to our engine bay and install our intake box. Now this tube is going to go through the hole and then slide down into place. And then we're going to be reinstalling the 2 bolts that came out of our factory intake box to secure this down. So now we can thread our 2 factory bolts back into the factory locations. Now with both of our bolts threaded in, we can take a 12mm socket to tighten those down. Next, we can install our filter into our box. So we'll slide it in, and then we can get it around our coupler. And now we'll take an 8mm socket to tighten down our clamp. Next, we can install our cover. So we'll grab a Phillips head screwdriver and our screws to secure our cover down to our box. Next, we can install our intake funnel. So we're going to slide this into our coupler. We have our 2 clamps. Now, once you have your clamps slid into place, you can take an 8mm socket to tighten these down. Next, we can install our coupler onto the throttle body. This is going to be our reducer coupler. The smaller side is going to go towards the throttle body. So we'll grab our smaller clamp, and then we can get this onto our throttle body. You can use an 8mm socket to loosen up your clamp. Slide that on. We'll get our clamp into place. And then we'll tighten that down with our 8mm socket. And then we can throw the clamp for the intake pipe onto our coupler for now. Next, we can install our intake pipe. Now, the side with our mass airflow sensor is going to go towards the air box. And then we can grab a coupler with a clamp. We're going to slide that all the way onto our intake pipe, and then slide this end into the throttle body. And then we can slide our coupler onto our intake box. Now we can go back to our throttle body. We'll slide our clamp into place and then use an 8mm socket to tighten it down. Next, we can connect all of our lines. So the crankcase vent tube is going to go onto the thicker post. And then we can get our clamp back into place. And then the thinner line is going to go back to our fuel pressure regulator. And then we can reconnect the connector for our mass airflow sensor. And now we can come back to our intake box and tighten down our 2 clamps. So we'll get that slid into place and then take our 8mm socket, tighten it down. Now lastly, we can reinstall our engine cover. Now these two little clips are gonna go onto these two grommets, and then we're gonna pop these two grommets onto our two studs. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Volant closed box cold air intake with MaxFlow 5 oiled filter for your 2011 and newer 4-liter 4Runner. Thank you for watching, and for all things 4Runner, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.